What's up guys, Mike here, and today we are talking about the Golden State Warriors. Well, I guess more specifically, can anyone in the Western Conference beat the Golden State Warriors? Because no matter how much we want to ignore it or pretend it didn't happen, the Warriors did sign Kevin Durant this offseason. As basketball fans, most of us are not happy with this. I could continue, but that's for another time. Because in today's video, we're doing a Western Conference preview. This is the first time I've ever done something like this on my channel. I'm very excited because I want to turn this into a yearly thing. I hope 5 years down the road, I'm doing another Western Conference preview and an Eastern Conference preview, and then a preview predicting the champions, the MVP winners, the Defensive Player of the Year winners. That's all coming this year, and I hope it happens for the next several years. So in this video, we're going to go from 15 to 1. 15th being 15th place in the West, then 14th, all the way so on, you get it. And with certain teams, I will discuss if that team has a chance to defeat the Warriors this season, because God, I hope someone does. And before we jump into this preview, guys, just give me 1 second of your time. I just want to say, follow me on Instagram. I'm serious. I'm actually serious. Sounds ridiculous, but yeah, follow me on Instagram because I'm basically going to start doing little Instagram videos that are like these videos. So they're not going to be 10-minute videos like this, but they're going to be little 30-second videos that have interesting NBA stuff. Because not everything I find fits into a 10-minute video. Other things, you know, I can get across very quickly. Plus, I'll be posting cool basketball pictures there, pictures of my puppy. All right, I'll try to limit that. But yeah, so follow me on Instagram. Enough of this rambling. Let's start this video. Number 15. The Los Angeles Lakers. In the 2017 NBA draft, the Lakers owe the Philadelphia 76ers their first-round pick as long as it is not a top 3 selection. That alone tells us that the Lakers will be looking to tank. With that said, I am looking for D'Angelo Russell to have a big second season. I think he will prove his worth as a future all-star, and I think Jordan Clarkson will eventually be a solid 6th man or fringe starter on a playoff contender. The real question is, how good is Brandon Ingram? This summer, he played on the Team USA select team, but he's not starting for the Lakers right off the bat, which is smart. The Lakers are allowing Ingram to develop behind veteran Luol Deng. If Ingram can live up to his potential, if Russell and Clarkson show some serious growth, and if the Lakers hold on to their pick, the Lakers will definitely not be down for long. Number 14. The Sacramento Kings. If you are a fan of the NBA, you should absolutely hate the Sacramento Kings. Somehow this horrible franchise lucked into DeMarcus Cousins, a man who should have been one of the best players of the NBA these past few seasons. Unfortunately, the Kings are an absolute mess of a franchise and have managed to make several horrible moves that have left Cousins without a competent roster to showcase his talent. This will be Cousins' 7th season as a King, and he has still not played with a single All-Star or made the playoffs. Yes, DeMarcus is a head case, but we have yet to see if he can thrive playing for a professional franchise. Let's just all say a collective prayer that the Kings trade him this season. Number 13. The Denver Nuggets. In my opinion, the Denver Nuggets are stuck in no man's land. They have several talented NBA veterans in Danilo Gallinari, Kenneth Faried, and Wilson Chandler. And they also have some serious young talent in Emmanuel Mudiay, Nikola Jokic, Joseph Nurkic, Will Barton, Gary Harris, and Jamal Murray. Honestly, seeing as the 2017 NBA draft is supposed to be loaded with talent, the Nuggets would be best served trading away some of their older talent and just tanking this season. They could get some decent younger assets and set themselves up as a playoff contender in the next 3 to 4 years. As they are now, Denver is simply not talented enough to compete against some of the better Western Conference teams. Number 12, the New Orleans Pelicans. Honestly, the only reason the Pelicans are this high on the list is that I strongly believe in Anthony Davis. With that said, what the are the Pelicans doing? From the second that New Orleans drafted AD to their roster, they have made wrong move after wrong move. Now, some might point to LeBron's Cleveland years as a time where a superstar player dragged his team to the playoffs despite a horrible roster. However, as a big man, Anthony Davis is at a huge disadvantage compared to a superstar perimeter player. To put it simply, it's hard for big men to get good solid touches if their guards are just horrible. Combine all of this with the fact that Drew Holiday is beginning this season with some serious personal problems, and I just want to say, Drew, your wife is in our thoughts, and I just don't see the Pelicans making the playoffs, thus wasting yet another year of Anthony Davis's career. Number 11, the Dallas Mavericks. For the last several years, experts have predicted that Dirk and Rick Carlisle will not make the playoffs because Dirk is just too old. Well, this is my first year doing predictions, and I have to jump on this previous bandwagon. Now, it's been wrong up until this point, but with several Western Conference teams making improvements, I have to predict that the Mavericks will finally not make the playoffs. I don't believe that Harrison Barnes or Andrew Bogut will have a serious impact, and I also believe that Dirk and Darren Williams will take a step back this year. But Rick Carlisle is a top 3 coach in the NBA, so look for him to prove me wrong. Number 10, the Phoenix Suns. Just a few seasons ago, the Phoenix Suns made a run at the playoffs with a young roster, and I think this season they will be the surprise team of the NBA. Last year, two of their best players, Eric Bledsoe and Brandon Knight, spent a lot of time injured. This allowed then rookie Devin Booker to showcase his potential and score 30+ points in multiple games. This season, Bledsoe and Knight are back, and Booker is fresh off a summer where he starred on the USA Select team. Seriously, people are raving about this kid, and he has the potential to become an NBA star. Combine this with Phoenix's great mix of veterans such as Tyson Chandler and Jared Dudley, and a bunch of talented young players such as Alex Len, Bender, and Marquise Chris coming off the bench, and in my opinion, Phoenix is one of the most interesting teams to watch this season, and they might just squeak into the playoffs. Number 9, the Memphis Grizzlies. Last season, the Grizzlies made the playoffs despite several key injuries to their roster. This season, the Grizzlies start the year healthy, but are still full of question marks. For starters, is Marc Gasol back to 100%? Sure, the team states that he's fine, but a foot injury to a center over 30 years of age is an obvious concern. Building off of these injury concerns, how many games will Chandler Parsons play? Parsons already begins training camp unhealthy after several injury-plagued years, and there is already serious talk of a minutes restriction on his playing time. That is a red flag to me, and seeing as Chandler is the Grizzlies' main addition this offseason, it's tough to see Memphis improving this year despite the constant play of players such as Mike Conley, Zach Randolph, and Tony Allen. If things do go right, Memphis might make the playoffs, but the West is just too talented this year for them to make it again with serious injuries. Number 8, the Minnesota Timberwolves. I am higher on the 2017 Minnesota Timberwolves than most, but I have several reasons for this. For one, I believe that in many ways they are the second coming of the 2010 Oklahoma City Thunder. In 2009, the Thunder won only 23 games and were a distant contender for a playoff spot. Then in 2010, everything clicked. After acquiring a new coach, the Thunder finished with a 50-32 record and lost in the first round of the playoffs. I think the Timberwolves are set up to have a very similar path to success. Reading early reports from the Minnesota camp, this team is serious. They do not want to be just another lottery team. They completely believe that they can be a playoff contender. This all stems from their new head coach, Tom Thibodeau. Already in the preseason, Tibbs is drilling his new team on defensive fundamentals, so expect a huge change in defensive efficiency. I also expect Karl Anthony Towns to jump a spot in the NBA ranks and become an all-star this season. But that's really no surprise, a lot of people are predicting that. What is a surprise is that I think Andrew Wiggins also has a chance to join Cat on the Western Conference All-Star roster. Last year, Wiggins averaged over 20 points a game. This year, he might average close to 25. So with the tremendous contributions of Cat and Wiggins, on top of probable increased play from Zach LaVine and Ricky Rubio, on top of a solid rookie campaign from Chris Dunn, I expect the Timberwolves to finish at least in the 8th spot in the West, if not higher, because I fully believe this team will be competing for a championship in 3 years. Number 7, the Houston Rockets. In the offseason, the Houston Rockets signed Mike D'Antoni as their head coach, and I think this is the perfect thing to happen to this team. For one thing, he has already named James Harden as the team's starting point guard. Now, Harden has basically played this role for the last few seasons, but I think it's very important that he develops a point guard mentality. He now knows that this is his team to run, and as long as the voters are fair, expect a first-team All-NBA type performance from him this season. But the problem with the Rockets is that they are all offense and very little defense. Trust me, this team can put the ball in the basket. They expect huge outputs from Harden, Ryan Anderson, and Eric Gordon. The problem is these guys also suck at defense. If somehow the Rockets are able to play just average defense this year, if they can also get huge contributions on the defensive side of the floor from Clint Capella, Trevor Ariza, and Patrick Beverley, the Rockets might just be a sleeper in this year's Western Conference. Number 6, the Oklahoma City Thunder. In many ways, the OKC Thunder are the wild card for this year. Just 2 seasons ago, the team didn't make the playoffs without Kevin Durant. This season, OKC enters the year without Durant, but with a pissed off Westbrook and several positive additions. Victor Oladipo should provide the team with wing scoring and another defensive stopper on the perimeter. The combination of Enes Kanter and Steven Adams proved to be deadly in the Western Conference Finals. And head coach Billy Donovan is now in his 2nd season as an NBA coach, and he should have all of the kinks worked out by now. Expect the Thunder to sneak into the playoffs and then possibly make some kind of playoff run, as Westbrook will be motivated to absolutely kill Durant in a playoff series, and I think Steven Adams appears to be at his best when the games slow down. Unfortunately though, I don't think this team has nearly enough weapons to actually take down Golden State. Number 5, the Los Angeles Clippers. At what point did the Clippers give up on this current core? Seriously, this is year 6 that Chris Paul takes the ball as the starting point guard for the Clippers. Paul is an all-NBA performer, a future Hall Hall of Famer and has never reached the Western Conference Finals. And this season, nothing has really changed. Yes, the Clippers will have DeAndre, Blake, JJ, and Jamal. And yes, the Clippers still do not have a solid small forward to put them over the edge. With that said, the Clips could finish as high as 3rd this season, possibly reaching the Western Conference Finals and then losing a tough series to the Warriors. But I'm predicting something else. I think the team will continue to play below their expectations, and Blake might just be out the door this year. Number 4, the Portland Trailblazers. Last season, the Portland Trailblazers were the talk of the Western Conference playoffs. They defeated the Clippers with no Chris Paul and Blake, and then gave the Warriors all they had in an extremely entertaining playoff series. This year, expect more of the same. Damian Lillard will be an all-star this season, and CJ McCollum might just join him. The Blazers also made several moves that should help their roster win games. The most notable is the acquisition of Evan Turner. No matter what, Turner will use his social media game to win over fans, but he's also the perfect 6th man for the Blazers. Both Dame and McCollum are able to thrive off ball, and Evan Turner will be able to set up his Portland Trailblazer teammates with easy shots when they need them the most. And remember, last season the Trailblazers held their own in the playoffs against Golden State. This year they should make a possible 2nd round matchup interesting, but Golden State will again just be too much. Number 3, the Utah Jazz. Last season, the Utah Jazz missed out on the playoffs after Kobe Bryant gave the league a send-off that will not soon be forgotten. This year though, I have the Jazz as my surprise team in the Western Conference. I think they are legitimate contenders to reach the Western Conference Finals. For starters, Gordon Hayward is now 26 and is in the absolute prime of his career. Look for him to make the All-Star team and potentially be a 3rd-team All-NBA candidate. Moving on, Derek Favors looks to finally earn the respect of NBA analysts everywhere. Last season, he had a 21.6 PER on top of 16.4 points and 8.1 rebounds a night. This year, he should only improve on those numbers. And on top of all of this, Utah as a whole is much improved this year compared to last. Dante Exum is back after a year-long injury. George Hill joins this roster as the most underrated player in the current NBA. And I haven't even mentioned what Rudy Gobert, Rodney Hood, Trey Lyles, and Joe Johnson will bring to the table. Trust me guys, the Utah Jazz are legit this season. Watch out. Number 2, the San Antonio Spurs. Last season, the Spurs won 67 games and lost in the 2nd round of the Western Conference Finals. This year, they are now the clear favorite to again repeat as 2nd in the West, and this time I think they are also the favorite to reach the Western Conference Finals. I think Kawhi will return this season in the best shape of his career and compete for the MVP. And I think the Spurs will also compete heavily for the top seed in the West. The reason is the Spurs need home court advantage in the playoffs to even stand a chance against the Warriors. So don't be surprised if San Antonio goes all in and fights to win every single regular season game. If the Spurs do land the top seed, if Kawhi steps up his game to MVP type levels, if everyone is healthy, there is a chance the Spurs are able to beat the Warriors in 7 games in the Western Conference Finals. I don't think it's a good chance, but the Spurs are the Western Conference best hope. At number 1, the Golden State Warriors. We don't even need clips for this. Golden State has Curry, they have Clay, they have Draymond, they have Durant, they have 4 All-Stars, 4 guys who could have legitimately all played on Team USA this summer, and 4 guys that can spread the floor, pass, shoot. Oh, it's too much, guys. And last year, they set the NBA wins record. Now this year, I don't think they are going to break the wins record again. They did lose a lot of depth, but of course they did add Kevin Durant. So I think they'll be a much better team in playoff series. But over the course of an 82 season, you do get injuries. Depth does matter. Players wear down. I think they'll win around 64 games still, which is pretty good. But like I said, I think the Spurs actually have a chance to grab the 1 seed this season. They're going to be so motivated to get it. The Warriors might pull a LeBron and take it a little easy during the regular season to save themselves for the playoffs. So it wouldn't surprise me if the Spurs finished first. However, it would surprise me if the Warriors lost before the NBA Finals. I think they're clear-cut Western Conference favorites. I mean, come on, man. They added Durant. Just insane. And with that said, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe for videos like this all season, baby. We've got an Eastern Conference preview coming up. We've got a whole video picking all the All-NBA teams, all the awards, the champion, everything like that coming up. And then after the previews, we're at the regular season. We've got NBA content for the next 9 months. So it's gonna be sick. Do not miss it. Make sure you subscribe. I would love to have you. And to my supporters, if you're still here watching, you are the man. Thank you so much. And as always, guys, have an awesome day and cue the music.